OpenAI has had a crazy week with not one, not two, but four major announcements. Let's jump right into them. First up is the fact that OpenAI ChatGPT now has memory. We're testing the ability for ChatGPT to remember things you discuss to make future chats more helpful. You're in control of ChatGPT's memory. And you can see some examples over here on the right. It says, has a 2-year-old daughter. Daughter Lena loves jellyfish, prefers meeting summaries to have headlines with bullets and action items summarized at the end. And here's why this is such a big deal. I spend a lot of my time, and I'm sure you do too, just reminding ChatGPT of how I like to be talked to. Whether it's the way that I want data formatted back to me or just general information about myself, it becomes tedious to add a long system message at the beginning of every single conversation. What I've done instead is I've started creating custom GPTs that have instruction sets with those specific details in them, but this means that now with ChatGPT Memory, I won't have to do that. It's going to remember all those details and carry them from conversation to conversation. Here's what they have to say about how it works. You've explained that you prefer meeting notes to have headlines, bullets, and action items summarized at the bottom. ChatGPT remembers this and recaps meetings this way. You've told ChatGPT you own a neighborhood coffee shop. When brainstorming messaging for social posts celebrating a new location, ChatGPT knows where to start. You mentioned you have a toddler and she loves jellyfish. When you ask ChatGPT to help create her birthday card, it suggests a jellyfish wearing a party hat. And then finally, as a kindergarten teacher with 25 students, you prefer 50-minute lessons with follow-up activities. ChatGPT remembers this when you help create a new lesson plan. This is cool because, again, you had to do this all in the system message before. Pain in the neck. So here's how you access this, and it is not rolled out to everyone just yet. In fact, I don't even have it yet. Otherwise, I'd be showing you a live demo. You can go down to your profile on the bottom left-hand side, and you'll go to settings. When that comes up, you can go to personalization, and you'll see this memory toggle that you can toggle on and off. Now, if you turn it off, obviously it'll stop storing memories, and if you turn it on, it'll start storing memories. But you have more controls than just that. You can actually view and manage the memories that it stores about you. So going to that same screen in your profile, settings, and then jumping back up to personalization, you'll notice another button at the bottom called Manage. When you click on Manage, it's going to show you all the individual memories that you have stored. And you can go through these. You can see there's a trash can icon. You can delete each one individually. So if it starts behaving a way that you don't like, it remembers something you don't want, you can go in and manually delete that. Now, you also don't really have to worry about the fact that sometimes you share personal information or maybe confidential information that you don't want it to remember. So when you start a new chat, you can also go to a temporary chat. So in the drop down where you'd normally select GPT-3, 4, you see temporary chat, you can check that. And then that's not going to save any memories from that particular chat going forward. You can also explicitly tell ChatGPT what you want it to remember. So if you're midway through a prompt, you're talking to it, going back and forth, you can say, hey, from now on, always respond this way and remember that. And from then on, it's going to add that to your memories and it's going to start responding that way. This also works for teams and enterprises. So if you've got specific needs from a team perspective, like you have a specific tone, voice, even format that you want returned on every single team interaction, you can set that, and that's going to carry across all of those team chats. And they didn't leave custom GPTs out of this either. When you interact with a custom GPT, it is now going to have access to memory as well. So if you tell it you like specific types of books or you give it extra details, it's going to remember those. Like, hey, I'm creating this web app. Here's how I want you to respond. The name of it is X, right? Pretty powerful stuff. And they probably just hooked up a database or maybe even a vector database to the back end of ChatGPT so that it can remember all these things. And it's likely just supplying them as a system prompt in the background. But the fact that it's doing it, it's able to remember new things. You can kind of go back in and adjust those is pretty powerful. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to a day when you can add bigger memories, let's say like an entire code base for a project. And then it can look at that, scan it, understand the whole thing, keep it in memory, and then you can iterate over it. That'd be really cool. Next up is the news that OpenAI is developing AI agents. This is really powerful. OpenAI is reportedly working on AI agents that take over a user's device and execute multi-step tasks autonomously. They give a couple examples of what you could do here. So the information is reporting that a type of agent executes tasks within an environment like transfer data to a spreadsheet. So it can take data that you've discussed in a chat, and then it can actually transfer that to a spreadsheet for you so you don't have to make that extra step and perform the task. Another type of agent does web-based tasks, such as booking airfares without using APIs. This is a big deal. Think about what this means for a second. In order for ChatGPT to pull something like this off, it has to understand the structure of a web page and how people interact with it. On top of that, it has to be able to control your local device, so there's going to have to be some permissioning that goes on there. It'll be able to then go to websites and actually navigate those websites as if it's a human and then execute tasks on your behalf. I can see a million really cool use cases for this, and I think once they launch this, it's going to be a real game changer. If you'll remember, the Rabbit R1, the kind of pocket handheld device, purportedly does something really similar. But as I mentioned, as soon as the R1 was announced, I think OpenAI is going to do this, and they're going to do it better, and they're going to do it across multiple devices. Now, there's no mention of a timeline or anything else like that for this, so we'll have to just wait and see. But make sure you're subscribed here so that you hear about it first. Before we continue to the last couple of news items, I wanted to share a personal project I've been working on for the past few weeks called PixelDoo.ai. Getting started is completely free, just click the button, and you'll be able to explore a number of different AI models. The idea here is that this is a playground where you can do everything from converse with AI models to generate images. I have all the latest Stable Diffusion models loaded up, like Juggernaut XL, SDXL, and I'm going to be adding more as time goes on. Simply enter a prompt just like any other Stable Diffusion system, hit generate, and a few seconds later, you're going to get back an image. The best part is you can download these images and use them any way you want, commercial or not. I don't care. Generate Stable Diffusion videos, music, even generate code for any of your projects that you might be working on. You get a number of free credits to play around with, and once you want to upgrade, it's $20 for an unlimited plan. You could use that for almost 10 years and it would still cost less than an RTX 4090 GPU. Check it out at PixelDoo.ai. That leads us to news about Andrej Karpathy. He announced yesterday that he left OpenAI. He says, first, nothing happened, and it's not a result of a particular event, issue, or drama, but please keep the conspiracy theories coming as they're highly entertaining. Now, if you don't know who Andrej Karpathy is, he was previously the director of AI over at Tesla. He was largely responsible for a lot of the success they had early on with the full self-driving program. He was then part of the founding team over at OpenAI, and he probably had a lot to do with those AI agents that we talked about earlier. That's something he's been talking about for a number of years, the ability to understand a web page and interact with it with an AI model. Now, what's next for Andrej Karpathy? It sounds like he's just going to go and start working on some personal projects, which should be pretty interesting, so we're going to keep an eye on what he does next. And last but certainly not least, there's some news going around that OpenAI is likely working on a search engine to compete directly with Google. It alleges that ChatGPT creator OpenAI has been quietly working on its own web search service. According to the outlet's source, the service would be partially powered by Bing, the search engine created by Microsoft, which is one of OpenAI's key backers. Not too surprising, Google's shares fell based on this news coming out. And it's honestly not that big of a surprise. I think this is where we're headed. I think that instead of having search engines, we're actually going to have answer engines. Think about it. When you talk to an AI agent, it's able to scour the internet, condense all the information, and then give you back an answer instead of simply taking you down a rabbit hole of going to various different websites to do your own research. So my hunch is, while this does say it is a search engine, I think it's going to be very different from the experience you have on Google and more akin to what we experienced just chatting with ChatGPT, but perhaps with more citations for sources and links going out. Either way, Google really should be afraid here. I think they're playing catch up in a number of different areas when it comes to AI technology, at least. And that wraps up this crazy week in OpenAI news. As always, I'm Brian Lovett, and remember, all your tech belong to us.
I'm the virtual prophet in the tech town, breaking down AI, wearing the crown, from basics to complex, never let you down. All your tech AI, earning the renown.